Hey fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. We're hoping you're watching on SIFTD and you're subscribing. You get a lot of curation of a lot of great content. You can reach out to Shane if you have suggestions for improving the site, which might be getting rid of me as well, but whatever you guys believe. And if you're watching on YouTube, we welcome you there too. We want to make sure my fellow babies have access. So our first question this week from SIFTD, from Sandman. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, recently said that the Scorpio is way more powerful than its competitors. In the old days, this would make it a next generation console. Is the market ready for a new generation of consoles? Is the old school way of looking at generations dead? Bunch of questions there. Excuse me. The truth is that power's not that important anymore. Yes, you need greater power to do more things, but you know, the difference between 8-bit and 16-bit and 32, 64, 128, you guys remember what Space Invaders looked like, you know, like little dotted aliens coming down, and you know, literally you could see every dot and their eyes were a dot. You know, you remember what asteroids looked like with the dots, and Pong with one dot as the ping pong ball going back and forth. We're now at the point where graphics look like movies, you know, and I don't know if you played any of these games, Last of Us or Uncharted 4, my God, the graphics were unbelievable. Horizon Zero Dawn, I think the graphics are unbelievable. I mean, it's cartoony coloring, but it's a very clear, beautiful game. So no, I don't think it matters. I mean, we can go from 1080p, which is 2 million pixels on the screen, to 4K, which is 8 million pixels on the screen. And although that's, you know, 6 million more pixels, it's 4 times the graphics intensity. That's like taking a photo with an iPhone 4 or 3 or something that had a 2 megapixel camera and compare it to a photo you take with the iPhone 7 that's got a 10 megapixel or 12 megapixel camera. I defy you to tell the difference on that screen, no chance. Yes, if you blow it up on a 100-inch TV screen or a movie screen, you can tell the difference. But most of us aren't playing games on 100-inch TVs. We're playing games, I'd say most people, somewhere between 32 and 55-inch TVs. Scorpio's going to be 4K. What does 4K mean? 8 million pixels, 4 times 4K is 4 times as many pixels as 1080p. Yes, that requires a buttload of processing power. It isn't that big of a deal. So PS4 Pro is HDR, high dynamic range. I wish I knew what that meant. I'm sure there are 1080p TVs that support HDR. My 2-year-old TV does not. So I have a PS4 Pro. I can't tell the difference, but I don't care. I'm future-proofed. I will ultimately get a new TV. My point is that the next gen consoles aren't going to do much more. The PS3, I believe the number that they said when it launched in 2006 was it could support 1,000 independently moving characters on screen at once. So let's just pretend the PS4 is some multiple faster than the PS3. PS4 Pro is some multiple faster than the PS4. And the Scorpio is even faster than that, so that Phil Spencer's comment is correct. Do you really care if you can support 5,000 characters on the screen or 10,000 characters on the screen? So yes, it's more powerful, and I'm not suggesting you won't be able to discern the difference, but do you care? And the answer is no, you don't. I don't think you do at all. So I think it's great, and I think that for movie type playback it matters. I think that probably it's more efficient when you're actually viewing the old content, but I'm not sure we're at a point where new cycles matter. So I think I'll say it differently. I think we are definitely at a point of what's called diminishing returns. So the extra investment in processing power yields a lesser increment of return than old investments. Going from 8-bit to 16-bit, you doubled the pixels. Going from 16 to 32 doubled again, 32 to 64 doubled again. And that's pixels per cycle. At the same time, processing power got faster, so the frame rate got faster, and you got faster and faster frames. Once we're at 4K and 240, do you really care if it goes to 240 frames per second? Do you care if it goes to 8K and 480? You won't be able to tell. I promise you will not be able to see the difference in that. So yeah, it's a great thing to happen, but no, it doesn't matter. Now, as far as the old school way of looking at these generations dead, yes. The reason we're seeing these upgrades to PS4 Pro and Xbox Scorpio is that somebody, and it doesn't matter if it was Sony or Microsoft, but clearly Sony executed first. Somebody figured out that what was wrong with the old console launches was that they truncated demand for current generation software. And all that means is if you have a PS4 and the PS5 launches and it's not backward compatible and you know that you're going to get one eventually, you are less likely to buy a PS4 game. So if you have one and it's 2019 or whatever, and you think the PS5 is going to launch that year, and you have to save up, and it might take a year or two to get your $400 or $600 or whatever the launch price is, you're going to say, shoot, I need to save money, and if I buy a game, I won't be able to play it very long, so you buy fewer games. So what the publishers and the console manufacturers saw was every time they launched a console, they pretty much killed software sales for the prior generation. And that meant everybody's profits went down because software sales went down. And the manufacturers get a royalty on each piece of software. Their royalty stream went down. So what Sony came up with the PS4 Pro, and Microsoft will absolutely implement with the Xbox Scorpio, is full backward compatibility. What that means is that no game is permitted to launch on the PS4 Pro or the Xbox Scorpio unless that same game also works on the respective current generation console. So a game launching on PS4 Pro must work on PS4. A game launching on Scorpio must work on Xbox One. So if you're an Xbox One owner and Scorpio launches, you will buy that year's FIFA or Call of Duty or Star Wars Battlefront because you're confident that it will play on your console. And when you get a Scorpio, it'll play on your Scorpio. So you don't truncate the cycle any longer. And that's why they're doing it. So the question you asked is, is this really a next-gen console? Yeah, it is. But it's launching differently than the old ones did because the manufacturers are compelling the developers and the publishers to make games that are backward compatible every time. Next question from SIFTD from Substance 104. Between Scorpio and Switch, which console do you think people will choose as their second system? It's an interesting question because you left out PS4 Pro, so you sound like you must be a PlayStation owner. Nintendo's problem, they're a little too cute for their own good. I think that they messed up with the Wii U, I think that they tried too hard to be different. The Switch, that tablet is a multi-touch. So it's not a tablet. It's essentially the gamepad, but set up a little differently. And the little difference in it is that the Joy-Cons are actually full-blown controllers, and you feel like you've really got dual analog sticks and a full-blown controller. So it works really well because you're essentially playing, with a controller and a screen right in front of your face. It is a handheld. And the cool thing about it is the games work on your television, but the truth is this is it's a great handheld. So I actually think the Switch is going to end up selling about as well as the 3DS. It's at a higher price point, so the unit sales won't be as high. But ultimately, if it comes down to $149, yes. I think it's $13 million a year, kind of 3DS numbers, and I think they don't have to make handhelds at all anymore. At $300, obviously, it's not going to sell as many as something at $149. But, you know, so I guess the right question is, would you buy a Switch instead of a 3DS? Yes. You might not if you can't afford it. I mean, I totally get that. And twice the price is pretty pricey. But since the game experience is truly a console game experience, yeah, I think you buy the Switch. If you are a PlayStation or an Xbox owner and you don't own the other one, there's a reason why. And the reason for you is you like first-party software better on whichever console you purchased. The standout developer is Nintendo. And even though they aren't really any significantly more productive at putting out titles than Microsoft or Sony, pretty much every Nintendo title is just a giant superstar, like giant big seller. So Zelda, you just can't compare Gears of War to Zelda. You know, it's different, and it's among the highest rated, if not the highest rated title of all time. So the truth is, I think the Switch is always going to be the second console of choice. And, you know, I think that based on where we are in the cycle, you know, Sony's announced 54 million or so PS4s. They announced it a month or two ago. Microsoft hasn't announced, but the number's around 27 million. You know, Sony's outselling Microsoft about 2-1. You have 80 million people out there who bought a console. Probably not a lot of overlap for those two. And so Nintendo is 80 million households behind with the Switch. So, you know, for Nintendo to think they're going to beat out Sony or Microsoft to be the first console in the house, not so much. They're very highly likely to attach to 20 million of those houses. The first 80 million PS4 and Xbox One owners, by definition, are people who have $300 or more to spend on a console. And, you know, odds are the next 300 they have goes to a Switch. Our next question from SIFTD, from Tibble and Bits. What do you think of Marvel's game licensing deal with Square Enix? Was Square Enix the best possible choice for Marvel? You know, Disney owns Marvel. And Marvel, the former management of Marvel works for Disney, so they have creative control to make sure that we preserve the integrity of the Marvel universe and Marvel characters. Disney has gotten in and out of the game industry at least 3 times. You know, you've got the Crystal Dynamics guys who are very good. You've got the Eidos Montreal guys who are very good. I don't know where we stand with, you know, Tomb Raider or Deus Ex, if there's going to be another one of either one of those games, but there's certainly high quality studios that are capable of making really good games. They're probably underutilized, and they work for an entity that probably could use a little extra revenue, you know, in between every decade iterations of Final Fantasy. So, you know, it makes sense to me. It's a good enough quality company. I think Disney Disney/Marvel insists on creative control. Looks like they're giving them enough time. You know, we're going to get more details in 2018. So I would say the earliest you see a title is Christmas of 18. So I'm fine with the deal. But the truth is, unless a license is something like sports, where you're very confident you can do it every year, so you can make money even at a high royalty rate, or it's a property that is a blockbuster like Star Wars, I don't think you see a lot of licensed deals anymore. I think that licensed content is hard to make money from. And really, other than owned IP, not licensed, like Warner Brothers IP, so they own the DC universe, and they can let their wholly owned Rocksteady studio make a Batman game, you know, so there's nobody paying them 20%. They're just capitalizing on it themselves. I wouldn't see anybody bidding on doing a Batman game, for example. It's hard to do, and so I think the 2 choices are do a bad job with a third-party studio, or take the risk and bring in your own studio. Disney has chosen not to do that, and they're taking a chance with Square Enix, who's not done a whole lot of licensed content before, but they are a good studio. And Warner takes it in-house, and they've actually hired or purchased really good teams. So Injustice, which is all DC Universe, is Ed Boon, is NetherRealm. They're really good. Rocksteady does Batman. I mean, they're really good. All the Lego Batman stuff is Traveler's Tales, TT Games. They're really good. That's the way to do it. Disney couldn't figure it out. Warner Brothers has. And so I think Warner is actually kicking Disney's butt on games because they've actually figured out the formula, which is take the risk yourself. And I think that, we'll see. I mean, we'll see if Square Enix does a great job. I think they'll try super hard because they're money motivated and they want to make a profit. But I think that, these guys with the valuable IP, you almost need to keep it in-house to do the characters justice and do it right. So we'll see how it works out, but I'm glad that consumers get a choice to play Marvel character games. Okay, we got a question from SIFTD from Rug, which I'm hoping is your initials and not where you're standing right now or laying down right now. I'm a software engineer, I'm sorry, and I'm married, I'm doubly sorry. No kids, oh, I'm triply sorry. So yeah, I have some time, but not nearly enough to play all the great games. How do you decide which games to dedicate your time to? All right, I'm gonna go even off the scale here. So I have an incredibly demanding job. I gotta work today. I gotta work every day. I work every day. I easily work 60 hours a week and often 80. I'm married. I have 2 kids. I don't dedicate much time to any games. So I literally play games in spurts. I play about 1 month out of every 3, and I play every day for a month, and then I get busy and travel and don't do anything. And so the real problem for me is I'll go through the tutorial on a game, make sure I'm aiming the weapons right and I know how to, grab stuff. And I'll play 3 or 4 or 5 levels. So I did this on Overwatch, and I think I tried to play was it Agent 86 or some number, not 86, Soldier, yeah, whatever. And that I sucked at that. So then I tried 2 or 3 different tanks and I settled on Reinhardt, and I'm just guessing because it was slow, and whatever. And then I'm on multiplayer and I'm listening to these people telling me what to do, and I'm like, fuck you. This is a pretty easy thing to do, and it's pretty easy, to set up strategically. So it got to the point where I just turned the sound off because I freaking couldn't take everybody yelling at me. And I think I played Overwatch for about 2 weeks. And the funny thing is, so May 20th to June 5th, and then I stopped and I haven't played it since. And I ran into the team. I ran into Kaplan and Morheim and Geo Hunt's the COO. And they're like, what character are you playing? I couldn't remember the name of the tank. I was like, fuck, I've been drinking too. So the answer to your question is, I play every game for about an hour. And there are some games I get into and I play for 10 hours. And about twice a year, I finish a game. Now, Overwatch, you don't finish. I get that. I haven't finished the single-player campaign in Titanfall yet. I will, because I like it, but I haven't played it since mid-November because I moved on to something else. And so by the time I pick it up, I might have to start again. I just sometimes can't figure it out. Battlefield 1 single-player campaign, I finished. But it was fast. I don't think it took me more than 10 hours. It probably took me 10 hours, so it's probably 4 hours long. And the thing about campaigns when I play them, I try to play everything on normal mode, default mode. And the only time I ever dumb it down is if I do something like 6 times and I get killed every time. And I'm like, fuck this, I got to get through it. So I go to super easy mode and then just get through it and then move on. But I don't, like most games, I play a few levels just to see what it's like, and then I'm like, okay. And again, no disrespect, but that was me in Watch Dogs. I literally played 2 levels and just said, okay, I got the feel of the game, next, because I don't have time. So the answer to your question is, I decide to try everything out of curiosity, and in fairness, I probably won't try Just Dance. I have played FIFA, because I played the most recent FIFA, and I tried whatever the journey or whatever they call it, the evolution of that one player, just because I wanted to see if it was cool, and it actually was better, much better than I thought it would be. Anyway, answer to your question is, I play what interests me. I don't review games, so I'm not required to finish anything. I really seldom talk about games as far as what a great game, you got to play it. I don't think my opinion about game quality matters at all. Okay, fellow babies, thank you for joining us on this week's Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. Appreciate it if you're a subscriber there. If not, appreciate that you're actually searching for us on YouTube. And we love having you. I am looking for Twitter followers. I haven't been asking for this for years. I'm back to it. At Michael Pachter, if you want to hear my gems of wisdom. And I have to say, I'm really surprised, but on Twitter about once a month, somebody comes on and says, how come you don't do Pack Attack anymore? Or whatever happened to your show? And I'm like, dude. So if you follow me on Twitter, you're going to know about Pachter Factor. You'll know when it's up on YouTube because I tweet that all the time. So we'd love to have you. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next week.